John, we have got another amazing guest tonight, and I am so excited to speak to this person. This is one of the first eyewitnesses that you had identified by finding that clip of our next guest, Erin, who was there at the rally, and she was interviewed. Erin, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Good.
John, tell us why you find Erin such a significant guest. We've got her clip right here.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and speak with us and share your experiences with us. We stumbled across the interview that you gave NBC News. I guess it was almost immediately after the event. And that clip was shared, I guess it was on YouTube or on Twitter rather quickly. And again, it seemed very immediate, and you seemed very trustworthy, like you knew what you were talking about. It seemed like you took note of what happened, and you were just, something I would refer to you as a lucid witness. Okay, a lucid witness. And so we were listening to your interview, and we were rapt at attention. And so the fact that we were able to connect with you is like miraculous. Again, I'm so incredibly grateful that you're taking time to speak with us. So thank you.
You're welcome. I hadn't given any interviews since the Monday after that. Took a little bit of a break, but my husband always tells me that I experienced something that not many people have experienced, so I should be able to share it, because I was starting to think maybe I'm doing this for myself, and I don't want to do that. I only want to really say what I've experienced. Now,
Give
I
us a
have
little bit.
had,
Sorry, Erin. If you could just give
yeah,
everybody a little bit of
yeah.
your background, because you and I had a phone conversation earlier today, and you were telling me about how you're so dedicated to volunteering at the rallies and all of that. I think people would want to hear about that.
Yeah, I am definitely a MAGA, a mega MAGA, maybe. I don't know how to say it. Um, Ever since, well, probably my first rally was in 2000 when Trump got elected. It was in Erie. Well, my husband and I had gone to Erie and gone to Latrobe. And then once he started to come to Pittsburgh, I started to volunteer. I would call up the headquarters and say, I want to be there. So this really was the third rally that I had volunteered. So on Saturday morning, the 13th, I was the fourth car in the parking lot. I arrived at 6:45 that morning because I just wanted to get a good parking space. I wanted to get a good position. So I was at the media tent, which I like to be at. So putting media people, seeing who's there, and I'm very up on everyone's name and who they are. So I worked there most of the day. And then I know, since we're volunteers, we get in the VIP line. So once everybody had happened to be in, all the media was in there. But I had mentioned to Jason that of all the rallies I worked at, this was, in my mind, the most loosely planned, loosely regulated rally. I have every badge that I've gotten from every rally and saved it in a box. I kept on asking. There was nothing. There was no badges for us. There was no badges for the media. And the person that, like if somebody's name wasn't on the media list and we texted her, she'd say, okay, let them in. And to me, it was like, whoa, who's running this? Of course, we didn't say anything, but in my mind, I'm thinking, this is not what I've experienced in the past.
Wow.
Needless to
So,
say.
so you were there at a
That was just
media
my
tent,
impression.
right? And you were there at
That
the media tent, and so who was Secret Service? Did you notice any law enforcement stationed near where you
No,
were?
nobody was at this point, because once they had checked in with us and walked up an area, that's where the Secret Service was. So first thing, they go in first. They set up their stuff. They come back out, and then the sweep gets done. And then we have to recheck them in the second time. So then they had gone back in before the gates opened at 1. They had to have everything set up. So it was kind of like a two-way for them. But I also mentioned to Jason, next to us was the ADA line. And it was just amazing to see how many people that are like even coming in there with one leg, and they're standing in line for 3 and 4 hours because they want to get in to see Trump. I mean, it's like heartbreaking almost.
Wow.
It
So you
it
were
just
there
it
for
just
12
it's a
hours.
very humbling experience to see people that you think, man, you should be home. in a comfortable chair with a nice drink. I mean, even one man, out front, I found out that they were renting these chairs for $20, and I couldn't stand the way this guy was looking, and I actually went and bought him a chair, and they said you just leave it there at the end of the thing, and they'll pick them up. So that's just how that experience was. So anyway, so now we get to closer to 1 o'clock. Media's all in there, and they said, okay, now we can go over. And I told the two women I was working with, I'm an old hat. We're getting up front. Follow me. So we went into the line. I had already gone earlier into the place to look at it. I had gone the day before to find out exactly the parking. But I'm a real estate agent, so I plan where I'm going to park, where I'm going to drive to. I had gone the Friday afternoon before and drove all the way into the place and got the lake. So anyway, so 1 o'clock, we're going in, and I see to the left there, I said, we'll walk this way. We got into the front. My seat was, as you can see up there to the left, there was a medal there, and that we were all standing. That is the media, the photographers. So Trump comes out from the left, and I'm starting to see all the people that had spoken beforehand, like all the local politicians. I'm looking for them. Now I'm looking for the family, because I've already seen Ivanka and Jared and her kids doing the YMCA at the Pittsburgh airport. I don't see anybody, but I see Dan Scafino. So I thought, okay, I'm thinking, doesn't Trump have any family with him? No, Dan came out, and then I knew Trump was coming next. So Trump came out to the left, and he's doing his thing on stage a little bit. And if you wanted to okay, well, we could do that. Okay, unless you wanted to go to the sharpshooter picture. It's very small. So before, the guy behind me, 2 seats to the right, says, "Oh, the sharpshooters are up on the roof." So I said, "Oh, I know he's en route." Because that's kind of the last people that go up are the sharpshooters. They're not up there for hours like we are, 90 degrees. So he had landed in Pittsburgh, and that's like a 45-minute drive to Butler. And so these two sharpshooters are up here. There was a building right behind the stage. So that stage, well, he's on the stage, and the bleachers behind him, there was bleachers to the left, and there was bleachers to the right, and then the rest of us were on the ground level, so you can't kind of see those people to the right there, but to the people from the left, that's where the dignitaries, VIPs, when they had come out from Trump, getting the picture with him, they were all seated down there, like the Pennsylvania governor, not Shapiro, he's our governor. I meant running for the Senate. You know who I mean. It'll come to me.
All the big muckety mucks.
Yes, they're all sitting there to the left. So Trump comes on. He's doing his little wave. My girlfriend says he drinks it in. He loves the people. He loves the entrance. So he kind of comes in, and all these photographers are down on the ground taking all kind of pictures. So then I see the Secret Service move them out. They move them all out to the far right before he says a word. So none of those people are not there. These people are all moved to the far right. He starts talking, and then he stops for a minute and says, "Oh, let's do something different," and put up that chart. And it's to the right and the left. And I'm looking at the chart, and I'm hearing him talk about, this is the amount of the border crossings when I left office. And then he stops. And I hear out of my left ear, I thought it sounded like fireworks, like boom, boom, boom. I heard 4 to start with. And he crouched down, and then the Secret Service jumped and pushed him down to the ground. Out to my right, I'm looking at those photographers, and there's like 5 of them in a heap. I mean, it was the scariest looking heap I've ever seen. It looked like something out of the pictures from Gaza. And that's when I thought, oh my gosh, they shot him and all these photographers? Then the Secret Service comes up, and they had these really long guns, and they had the black on, and they're right in front of me, and I hear, okay, right clear, left clear, get him up. So they lift him up straight, and I'm looking at his face, and I'm thinking, okay, it looks pretty good. His face still looks kind of rosy, and the blood here. And then I hear Trump say, I have to get my shoes. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I guess when they dropped him to the ground, his shoes fell off. Unless they had slip-ons. I've been thinking this in my mind. Then they turn him to the right because he exits the opposite side of the stage that he came. And that's when I saw the ear. And I saw it from here to here. And I thought, okay, maybe he just got pushed to the ground so hard that he hit it against something. I thought maybe that's all that it was. That's what I was thinking. And then, they're starting to move him. And then, of course, he stops and lifts his hand up and fight, 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 and down the steps. But it didn't seem like he wanted to leave. Now, this whole time, not one person in my row has moved. Nobody to the right or left of me. I went alone. My husband said, didn't anybody push you or shove you? I said, nobody moved. We were just, I feel like, of course, it was shock, but like he says that we were there to protect him. Like it seemed like that was my concern, was him. It was just like, oh my goodness, don't tell me anything happened. So they walk down the steps and I see them trying to push him into the car. It still doesn't seem like he really wants to go. And then little by little, they pick up all those photographers off the ground. So they're okay. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe that was just a freaky thing that happened. Then behind me, I'm seeing some people walk. Nobody walked in front of me. Nobody wanted to be near that stage. I see Dave McCormick. That's the guy running for the Senate. I see him behind me, and behind him is a gentleman in beaver here named Rico Elmore. He has a white shirt on. It's blood from the top to the bottom, right side. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Rico. I didn't say anything. Nobody said like talked. I said, but he looks like he's okay, but he must have been near somebody that got hurt. And he was definitely right in front of Corey. So those people that got, the gentleman that got killed and the two that got wounded were in that left side. That's Rico. And that white shirt, I mean, he didn't have a suit coat on at that time. It was all the way down, the whole one side of it. And I'm thinking, okay, now that's serious. Something happened. So he actually helped somebody down the steps.
And he had been talking earlier, right? He was on stage. He was at the
He was on
podium.
stage earlier. So
He
he was
spoke.
one of the ones that came out before Trump did. So I'm sure when they talk, they get their picture taken with them, and so there he is. So that was my first indication that, oh my goodness, something really happened. Something serious happened. And I didn't see the people over there on the stands. I didn't see, because we were still all standing up. Nobody had sat down yet because it was just the beginning of the event. And so I guess it was just too hard to see up there on the stands. And I don't know, but I didn't hear like didn't see any like ambulance coming or sirens or anything like that for those people over there. So that was just only when that happened. So then it's a picture of those sharpshooters. The guy behind me, two to the right, says, I saw the sharpshooter shoot the guy on the water tower. That's just what he said to me. I'm thinking, oh, okay. So maybe there was somebody on the water tower. Didn't know anything about the Crooks guy. So here's these guys. Now they're facing this way. Now they had moved a couple. There's nobody over here to the right, but over to the left is the water tower. They had positioned themselves different ways. I just know it. All the rallies, they're pretty prevalent on buildings. Those are the only two I saw at this rally, were those two. So then when I start to go out, and I told you earlier, I mean, we had to be pushed out by the Secret Service in the black because people just didn't want to leave. I mean, I don't know. We were just disappointed. We didn't get to a rally. We were there all day. We wanted to see, but maybe he would come back up on stage. So we're going out to the back now, and people were stopping us to say, where were you sitting? What did you see? So that's when I gave that interview right then. And I was probably like, about that time, maybe 15, 20 minutes after it happened. Then I just didn't want to go home yet because I came alone and I drove alone. I thought, and the parking lot was packed. They had never stopped one car on the way out of that parking lot to see if there was anybody in the car, if there was a shooter in the car, or anything. Then I'm feeling like, okay, I really need to get some water, maybe sit down for a little bit. In the back was some airplane hangars. Doors were open. There was hangars on this in the near the parking lot. A
Yeah,
door
there's
was
an
open.
airport. There's an airstrip. Yeah, there's an
There's an
airstrip.
airstrip there. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's hangars there. The door was open. People were sitting in there. They had some food. I asked if they had water. Told me to go over and see that guy who's on the golf cart. He had two big things in the back of the golf cart with filled with water. I said, "Oh, thank you so much." I said, "Oh, I was up front and I saw it." He said, "Oh yeah." He says, "Oh, yeah, there was more than one shooter." He said, "There was one on the water tower and there was one on the tree line." Then he's showing me pictures of his phone of two dead people. And I'm like,
What?
"Oh,
What?
what?"
What?
I didn't want to tell Jean
What?
everything that we spoke about this
And
morning
I'm
because
like,
this is
okay, like I'm thinking, wow. I mean, I have no idea what's going on at this point because I'm not listening to any, I've not heard anything about crooks or anything. I'm just, look and thinking, oh man,
All right, so let me
wow, that
test
was
my
really,
understanding. Roll back a second. You're talking to this other gentleman. Roll
yeah,
back for the audience
yeah,
just 30 seconds because you just
yeah,
dropped a bombshell on us, if you would.
yeah.
Forgive me. One more time.
So this gentleman to me looked like he may have been a local. He may have been driving around on the golf cart, giving water to people working in the parking lot, or maybe some of the local police that were in the outskirts. He didn't tell me any of that. I'm just the way he looked and the way he had all that water in there. I'm thinking he's on this golf, and he looked like he may have been like maybe with the volunteer fire department. People knew him. He was a local person. Let's put it that way.
Might he
He
have been an employee of the Butler Farm show
could have
place?
been
It's an
something up
electric
there to do
go-kart,
with that.
right? Electric
And
go-kart.
he
Maybe they.
had on his phone these pictures, and they were not the picture that I've seen of the other person.
how did he get those pictures on his phone? Did he take the
I'm
pictures or
thinking he's driving around somewhere. I don't know. At this point, I'm like
So
flabbergasted.
tell us what he showed you. What did you see on his phone?
I just saw two different men, and they seemed to be near buildings or near something, and they were on the ground in like a line, like a rolled up, not rolled, but just like they had fallen forward and were laying next to something.
Two bodies next to each other. So in one
No,
photo.
no, 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 no. They were two separate. They weren't near each other. They
Okay,
were
okay.
separated. They were in two
That's
different
why I'm asking
locations.
clarifying questions. That's why I'm going to ask you.
Yes, they were in two different locations, and I'm thinking, okay, okay, wow, wow.
Any defining characteristics? Were these 7 foot tall former NBA players? Were these
No, no,
four
I
foot
would call it like maybe
leprechauns? What?
your average. I mean, I would say they were probably both white, average, and maybe about 5'7", 5'8", nothing bigger than that. Not
I
very heavy.
We're on YouTube. Don't show
I'm
YouTube.
not gonna show
Okay.
this, but Erin, can you see this on the screen share? Is
I
that one of
see
the
that.
pictures you saw?
I did not see that face. No, no, I did
Okay,
not see that.
interesting. So
I
that
did
was a
not
picture
see
of
that.
Max Urick that I just shared with Erin. That was the picture
Yeah.
that Roger Stone had tweeted. John, you come just a little bit up on your audio. It's tough to balance two different Zoom guests. This is an incredible story you're telling us, Erin. So this is very clarifying
Remember, it's
because
hearsay from something that somebody said to me. You know what I mean? I tried to be very accurate about the things that I had seen, but people were talking and people were sharing after this event happened. That's, I think, was what I was getting the sense of.
Mhm.
And I mean, at that point, I had no idea how many shooters there were or what was going on. But then when I got home that evening, the one gentleman that I really liked, and if you saw him, he was a red-headed guy. He had a hat on. Because
Yeah,
where
I
the
know who you mean.
parking lot was, there was a street. There was, there was 10 to 12 houses on it. And he was at a party at one of the houses. And he said, oh, when we were just having a cookout, of course, because they weren't going to in somebody's yard and they parked there. And when they knew Trump was coming on stage, this group had all walked over to hear the speaker and hear Trump. So they had walked over near that AGR building, which was beyond the fence of the Butler Fairgrounds. And he's the one that he said, we're walking over there and we see this guy climbing up on the roof. And we're yelling to the local police still walking around there, guy, roof, gun. And nobody's doing anything. He said, we're flabbergasted. We can't believe that. And then he says, and Trump is still talking. And we're screaming like, stop the stuff, the event. And I mean, just a person that tries to put two and two together and see if I get four, thinking that, maybe they didn't want to shoot him at that point. Maybe they wanted to wait until something else happened because they were notified that there was somebody up there. And it wasn't just this one guy. The way I saw the picture, there was maybe like 6 or 7 of them had come over from this party. And they all saw, they're all, because nothing else is around this area. I mean, it's very farmy and very few buildings and no high buildings to block anything. The highest thing was the water tower. And I think that's what makes everybody think, why wasn't somebody on the water tower? And that AGR building was not that far away. And then they say stuff like people were inside the AGR building. What were they doing? What were they trying to protect inside the building? I sat in my seat from 1 o'clock till 6:17 when he was shot. Okay. Now, if I could do that, and as a volunteer, you mean they're being paid and they can't even come out and walk around and see what's going on? I mean, it's just, but the other picture that I put on there, back to see, in my feeling, why Trump turned his head. No, that's not it. It's the one with the flag. So this happens like 3 hours before Trump comes on. This strong wind comes, takes that American flag that's held up by the 2 cranes and turns it, whips it around. And I said to this was a volunteer fireman, retired from the city of Pittsburgh, next to me, does that look like an angel with the 2 wings and that? So then when people finally get on, those other people get on, the prior, the VIPs to speak, the crowd starts yelling, fix that flag. So they lower the crane and they unwind it before Trump gets up there. But later thought that was really a sign. I mean, it is so twisted in such a way that the stars are on one side, the stripes on the other, and then the body of it is hanging down. So just a little, I mean, my husband would say, you're looking into things too much.
I like it
He
when
tells me,
symbols like that
A lot
present
of people
themselves.
commented on this
I
image.
mean,
Aaron.
if
This
the
has
wind
become
could do that
iconic.
with a flag,
This is your
probably you would
image.
have
You
to,
took
what are
this?
the chances? You
So
would
this
have
is.
to put 20 flags up there in different wind speeds, and you would probably never be able to
Yeah,
replicate
you're
that.
right. No, a
But
lot of people have been commenting on how iconic a moment this was and how, it's angelic. And, obviously he's blessed to be alive. And this was a moment that wasn't lost on a number of people. A lot of people on Twitter talking about this. So you're not the only one to take note of this. But it's a great photograph. That's something I'm sure you're going to cherish for some time.
yeah, I mean, I really think that kind of says it,
Yeah.
well, how could you get like a corner of
Mm.
somebody's ear? I mean,
It's too close.
it's just
You were
too,
telling us
it's
about
just,
that golf cart a minute ago, and Jason, I think, was queuing up some footage that we were looking at last night from another eyewitness where somebody in a golf cart comes rolling up. And in fact, Jason, in that footage, there's also a woman in black pants and a white top that the eyewitness last night said seemed like she was acting in charge. Did you see this lady in the white top and the black outfit there?
no, I
You
did
didn't
not
get a
see
chance to
her.
see her by the tents or anything? You were there all day long. You never bumped into her.
No, because I had a job and I wasn't kind of back where those people were. I was in
Gotcha.
my area.
Okay.
No, no, I don't. I mean, they look kind of local, but I mean, the one guy
Th-
without the shirt,
yeah,
No, he's local.
that's sort
He's
of off
local.
to the side of where you were, huh?
yeah,
All right, but the
yeah.
golf cart
I
that we
mean, I
just
don't think they
saw,
would even let. Maybe he, was drinking.
we just saw a golf cart
Yeah.
that was green, like looked like a John Deere golf cart. It was dark green and yellow trim. Is that similar to the golf cart that you saw? There looks like we saw a red one. Yeah, that one. So that looks like a
That looks pretty big. That's a truck.
okay.
That's
Is there
more of a
another
truck
golf
than
cart,
a
Jason?
golf
Was there
cart.
another golf cart that came through with the water on it?
I think
This
that
one
was the
he had
one.
like he
Is
had
that it?
coolers in the back that had the
I
water
got you.
in it.
Okay.
Well,
If
we'll
they
look
opened it
for
for me.
the thing that's interesting
And
about
I don't know
this.
if I have not seen anything with him, but of course I haven't seen everything because I try to, step back a little bit from it,
Well, that's what
and
I was
it's
going
a
to say
little,
is that the thing that's interesting about this, Erin, in addition to hearing your incredible story, everybody watching now will look around for videos from the event that show a golf cart. And certainly I will share it with you if somebody finds a golf cart and if we can identify maybe who that person is, maybe
I
we
mean, I
get those
just wish that they
photos.
could find this, the person up in Butler that I know
We
had
know a
something
guy.
on his telephone. I mean, on his
We know a
phone.
guy. We're gonna
So,
track it down.
I mean, I'm
We'll
sure. I
track
mean,
it down.
I felt he knew the people that were in that um, airplane hangar because they're the ones that pointed me to him. So he obviously works at the airport, maybe, or the hangar up there. And I just, my head was just spinning a little bit, thinking, "Oh my goodness, were there, there were shooters all over?" Or
All right, so he says to you there's more than one shooter. He shows you these images of two dead guys. Now, are the dead guys he's showing you, are they face down? Like, how much detail was there in those photos?
yeah, it was mostly a body of what I saw.
Okay. So
And
just
I
like
thought he kind of said that even that one rolled off of the roof and rolled right off of a roof right down on the ground.
interesting. Interesting, Jason.
So,
Indeed.
We
I
got a
mean, it's,
body that rolled
that's,
off a roof and a body on a roof. Interesting. Interesting.
it's hearsay, but I don't, I don't think any of these people were there to make stories that day. We
No,
were really
that's
there to
right.
see you know what I mean? I've been trying to tell people it's just like, it's just the nicest little, farm show that I go to every year. They milk the cow and they make you your milkshake. So that's the whole place it was.
Wow.
It wasn't, yeah. The cows go in automatically and they go into the machine that milks them automatically. They're like trained. And then
Wow.
you go into another building and you get this delicious milkshake.
I like
I
that.
wouldn't miss it every year. So
I want
These
to
are all
go.
hangers. Look at
what
all
a
these
Yeah.
terrible
hangers here.
stain that this had happened to to this little town.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense. We're not like in a metropolitan city. We're 50 minutes from downtown Pittsburgh. We're really in a rural area. So, I
Do
mean,
you
that's a
Wow.
consider
bad.
yourself more from the suburbs of Pittsburgh, or do you consider yourself from Butler proper, or
No,
without
no,
giving
no.
away where you
I
live?
definitely my house is 15 minutes from PNC Park and the Steelers Stadium.
Gotcha. All right, so you're living in the suburbs of Pittsburgh,
Yes.
and so
Very
drive.
close suburbs.
Okay, and driving out to Butler is kind of like going out to the country to go to
Right.
the dairy place, and you get the ice cream, and you stop at the burger joint, and
And
all
it's
that
just a
kind of stuff.
nice ride, and you can
Gotcha.
almost feel, 15 minutes up the road, oh, it's getting,
It's
people are
country. Yeah,
friendlier,
yeah,
and it's
yeah, yeah.
getting nice. And businesses are farther apart, and you see a lot of greenery, and you see a lot of trees. And yes, it's a very safe area. I mean, I went alone,
Now, where did you
and I drove
park,
home
and where
alone.
was this hangar you were sharing? Jason's shown us the airstrip, and you were saying you got there early, you parked kind of near there, and we see a bunch of hangars. Can you give us a rough idea of where we're talking about? Now, Jason, can you show the venue
Can you
with
see where
three?
because I'm not like good, like it seems like
Here's the
men are
water
really a lot.
tower over
There's
here.
the water tower.
Whoops.
There
So
you go.
where was the stage?
The
On the
stage was
right.
right here
There you go.
Here
in
was
front
the
of these three
stage.
buildings.
In front of those
Okay, so
three.
that's where the shooter, I mean, the
You were
sharpshooter was there.
Right.
Okay, so
now.
we walked directly back here, and they were to my right, if that picture can kind of go
More
Like that?
right,
no,
more right.
no,
The other way?
still farther back. That was a stadium that they have those things called the tractor pull during
Oh,
the
yeah.
Butler show. And I
Yeah.
was surprised they didn't have anybody sitting in that.
Huh.
Those are stands. They're covered stands.
I see
So
that.
here they have like tractor pull and that whole stuff that they do with cars,
Monster trucks. Yeah.
run into each other and stuff. So nobody was over there. So we were still coming back straight back from the stage. And
Hmm.
so
So
no,
this is
that's
like
the
a
stadium.
demolition derby in here or
Yes,
something.
that's a field, and both of these are covered seating.
Uh-huh.
So it's set off aside because they charge you another $3 to see that, whatever.
Uh-huh.
We know when you go to the show.
That's a
So
good
that it's
deal.
kind of yeah, it's kind
Now
of that kind of a thing.
the runway is if Jason pulls back just at like half inch, just a tiny bit, the runway's off to the right, I think. Yeah, there it is. So you go off to the right and there's the
Yeah,
runway.
so this must be the hangars.
Right. Yeah.
These, right?
Yes.
This is them, and we've got this compass here. Compass rose
Yes.
printed
These
on
are
the.
the hangars. Because that's how I got into this. There was a lot of people in line and I wanted to get around them. And I saw a guy in a truck and he said, I have to go in front of you because I have to get to my hangar. So when he
Oh.
pulled into the left lane, this is only a 2-lane road getting into
Mm.
in the morning. I followed him to make it look like I was going to a hangar too.
Uh-huh. And they let you do that?
Yeah, nobody said anything. I just followed
Wow.
somebody who was going to their hangar, but I didn't go to his hangar. I saw where he went, and then I went into the parking spot, which was on the grass from there all
Wow.
the way back. So some of those people were sitting in hangars there to stay to hear, I guess, hear Trump and not have to go through the metal detectors and stuff.
Whoa. That might be one reason. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now remember, all these people back here are not being surveyed or being
Security
wanted.
clearance. Right.
They are not. Only people that are going way up front. Then they have 5 or 6 rows of us, going through
Now,
our purse and
Jason, where your mouse is right now, where your cursor is, literally on, yep, that's where the counter sniper, the secret counter snipers were
Yeah.
on that roof. And I've now learned that there was another set of secret snipers in the bleacher building right across, but not on the roof, inside underneath. So you see how there's another one right there, yeah, inside there, but not on the roof. They were like in the bleachers set up. So there was a secret sniper there and a secret
that's
sniper,
a high bleacher. And the whole time I'm thinking, why aren't they using the bleachers?
Secret Service
Why
was
do
in
they have
there.
to set up these seats?
Actually, Jason, the building on the right, the way you're showing it right now, the building on the right, I think was Butler, and the building on the left was Washington. And we have this from the post event recap from the Butler PD. Shows us where everybody was. So there's like a whole new document. It's similar to the FIT report that we had in Vegas. So the Butler PD has put out a document that we'll have to review it later this week that shows us where everything was, who was assigned where, all that kind of stuff. So we now know that there were counter snipers in each of these bleachers. One was on the roof, Erin, on the left side building, and then the other one was actually inside that bleacher area, hidden away, so that people didn't know they were there. So that's why that area was kind of roped off. We now
Hmm.
know that. I didn't know this 24 hours ago. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
Wow.
there was nobody over there. But I mean, I know the park, and I've sat in those bleachers.
Hmm. Now, Erin, I know you've got only a limited amount of time with us, and John, you and I have an opportunity, if you'd like, we could review that report right now in a sponsor exclusive segment. Erin can't stay with us through that, but it's up to you, John, and certainly anyone who's watching. If you are enjoying the reporting that we're doing, you can sponsor John by going to subscribestar.com/I am John Cullen or patreon.com/I am John Cullen. You can sponsor Crowdsource the Truth on Odyssey.com/@crowdsource the truth or any of the other links. Erin, is there anything else that you remember that sticks out in your mind? Anyone unusual that you might have seen hanging around? What about these Secret Service guys, the black uniformed, tactical looking guys? Did you see many of them around?
Not until the event on the stage. I didn't see anybody prior to the event. No, I did not. No, I
And just to
didn't
be
see
clear,
them.
you did not see a person on the water tower. Somebody next to you in the
No,
crowd said that.
right. I
The
mean,
news didn't seem to make that
I
too
was
clear.
looking at Trump. You know, I mean, I
Mhm.
honestly, I came for him. I just, my face was right there.
Wrapped at
And
attention.
and when he just crouched down, and I mean, I just think my heart sank. And I guess it's really hard to put that together. You don't know what's going on. I don't even know if you even think the worst at that time.
Yeah, no, I
It's so
remember
hard
being
to.
quite confused by it and
Yeah.
wondering and everything. Why don't we just real quick, for people who maybe haven't seen this, if you don't mind, I'd like to just play the NBC interview.
Is that
Well,
okay,
that's
Erin?
good to see if anything changed in my mind.
Right. Or if it reminds you.
Erin, what was going through your mind? What did you think when you first heard those sounds?
I thought this did what you just said. I thought it was fireworks. 4th of July. It's been pop, pop, pop. That's what it sounded like. Now, the gentleman behind me, I was one seat. He was to the right of me. He could see the sharpshooter behind Trump. He said the sharpshooter shot to the left. He killed the gentleman in the water tower here. Now, when I called my husband at home, who's watching TV, he said, I thought Trump hurt his ear when he went to the ground. But he said, no, on TV they showed before Trump hit the ground, the ear was bleeding. So that sharpshooter went across. Trump turned his head. His ear must have been nipped, and it killed somebody in the stands over to the left.
Could you see anyone injured besides the blood on the former president?
All I saw was the gentleman from Beaver County who spoke earlier in the day. He was running for the state house representative, Elmore. I know his name. He had a white shirt on, and I saw him come from that left stands where the people were mostly shot. I think there was several. They said 3 medevacs left here. Blood was down the right side of his. He wasn't shot, but you could see that he was next to somebody who must have been bleeding profusely, because he either helped them and ran, rubbed against them, or tried to get them help or something. It was covered. So I knew that he was near somebody. That was my first indication that somebody was actually shot, when I saw his blood on his shirt.
Erin, when did you realize that, hey, this might not be fireworks, this might be something else?
When they got Trump down on the ground. And then we were just so concerned that he wasn't hit, because we couldn't. It happened so fast. It's really hard to process it. I guess if you have it on your camera to see the exact minute, you can tell. But when he got up, he did not look bad at all. He didn't. He looked very strong. So then I saw that little bit. When I saw that blood, I thought, oh, he must have just hurt himself, hopefully. But it does appear that he was probably nicked by that bullet. That
And Erin,
turned his head just in the nick of time, but just.
And there you go. An historic interview, Erin. Thank you for joining us tonight. Any memories jogged? Anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
I'm just glad that you're investigating this, because there's a lot of pieces to this, and I think it really needs to come out. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm very glad that people are pursuing every little, and I hope that other people that were in Butler that saw something, or even people that were in the back that didn't make it in, or people that came late, they may have seen a lot more than me being there 7 in the morning. I hope that those people would come forward with something that they saw.
Yeah.
And anybody
And
that lived around there that was sitting in their backyard, I will hope that they come forward.
absolutely. And Erin, a lot of people have been coming forward, sharing information with us now that we know you and have your information and contact and all that. If anything relevant comes up, we'll absolutely send it to you and have you back on, and wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for joining us. John, anything you'd like to say to Erin?
Just incredibly grateful that you took the time to share this experience, and what you just shared with us, the fact that the guy in the golf cart showed you his phone and said, here's 2 different dead guys, and it's not the guy on the roof. Erin, this is game-changing testimony.
I
What
mean,
you're
you have
telling
to,
us
you have
here,
to follow through that, because,
we will.
I,
We will. This is game-changing testimony. It changes the entire narrative. as does a whole lot of other evidence that we've been investigating. And again, we're incredibly grateful to you, as are the victims, and they don't even know it yet. So stay tuned.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
And now,
welcome.
John, Erin's got to go, but you and I, if you'd like, can continue. Okay, so everybody can join us in 5 minutes. John and I will be right back, and you can join us on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen or patreon.com/IamJohnCullen. People can sponsor John on there. And you can sponsor Crowdsource the Truth on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We'll be right back. Stay with us, everybody. Sponsor the show. Don't miss. This is incredible stuff that we're doing. We'll be right